Bring your animalistic enthusiasm. Make sure that you do it with some high level of animalistic and almost insatiable enthusiasm. While you're blowing his trumpet, you're blowing his... But the funny thing is that a lot of guys adore hearing their partners gag. You know that sound where you don't want to kill somebody's son. Hey, when she holds the mic, there is some power she gets. I tell you for a fact. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Jane Lawrence. In this video, you would learn how to give him brains like a pro. Because if you didn't already know, there are some vital techniques that make giving brains really crazy. And I'm not going to waste your time today. Number one, we're going right into it. Taking the initiative is as sexy as hell for men. So women, you need to learn how to take the initiative. Stop waiting for him to take the initiative. So the first rule of giving brains like a pro is being able to take the initiative and start blowing him up without any prompting from him. And I tell you that taking initiative works incredibly well for so many reasons. Now, you know that feeling you get when your man just can't get his hands off you and he just has to have you. That's it. Look, it's irresistibly hot to be desired by someone who can't control themselves when they're around you. I love it. Like, it's mad. And that's the same thing he experiences when you want him to. That you're not cautious about taking the initiative and blowing him off when he's not expecting it. So use that to your advantage. And I think another reason why taking initiative is incredibly very sexy is due to the power and the pleasure many women feel while giving their man head. Honestly, there is some power. Hey, when she holds the mic, there is some power she gets. I tell you for a fact. Because a recent study has shown that over 30% of women enjoy the feeling of power that they get when they're blowing their men's trumpet. And in another study, I think they said 28% of women reported that they find the act of giving their men brain to be very pleasurable. So if you already enjoy this feeling of power and pleasure when blowing him up, then this is another reason for you to take the initiative to give him brains. All right, and I'm going to give you some examples on how you can take the initiative and start giving your man mind-blowing brains. Brains. God, I'm so silly. Now, you could surprise him by, let's say, okay, fine, both of you are watching TV, right? When he's least expecting it, just cuddle up beside him and start massaging his members with your hands, all right? To the point that he gets really solid. But don't do it when he's watching football. You know, men and football. Don't do it. Then when you see that he's getting rock solid, then you could start pulling down his pants and then give him brains. Secondly, you could give him roadhead. I have talked about this on my channel before, just recently. I'm going to put a link up here. You could just watch it. All right, the same thing. You could go on massaging him, massaging his members through his trousers. Then you unzip, you know, and then bring out his trumpet and start giving him roadhead. But just make sure that you both are not breaking any law. Better still, it's even good if you're doing it, you know, at the back seat while your friend is driving. But make sure not to make that sloppy sound when you're giving him brains, so that your friend doesn't hear it and figure out that you guys are up to no good behind him, and that could be disrespectful to him, that you guys do not take him seriously, or you do not respect him for you to do that sort of act. You know, some people can be really touchy when it comes to that. So now another easy way to initiate brain is, you know, giving him morning wood. Let's just say that you wake up early before your man on a lazy Sunday morning and you just surprise him with a head game. All right, but a little bit of planning ahead of the time can go a long way. Like, both of you could decide to sleep naked, you know, and this just makes everything super easy. Otherwise, you may just wake him as you take off his pajamas or his briefs and just blow the surprise. Now, once his pants is off, you will need to quietly make your way down to his members and do the dirty job with your mouth. And you see that he will slowly come to and realize what you're doing, and maybe just drag you and kiss you and do whatever he needs to do. Number 2, bring your animalistic enthusiasm. Make sure that you do it with some high level of animalistic and almost insatiable enthusiasm. I promise you that you will drive him nuts. Because most guys see this enthusiasm as the single most important head game tip that you can use in the bedroom. And most women are not enthusiastic when they're going down on their men, and I don't know why. A man will go crazy watching how happy his woman is and how enthusiastic she is when blowing him, because enthusiasm is at least 50% of what makes head game good. That's for a fact. So let me just give you an example, right? Let's say that your man hasn't seen you for almost the entire week. Maybe he traveled, or maybe, I don't know, for whatever reason, and you're waiting in your place for him to arrive. Then when he opens the door and he lays his eyes on you, he immediately rushes forward and grabs you. And as he embraces you, he leans in and gives you the most intense kiss you've ever received. But he doesn't stop there. He picks you up and brings you into the bedroom. He tears your clothes off and has his way with you. You can see the hunger, you can see the thirst in his eyes. And you don't want him to stop for a second. And even if you try to stop him, you probably can't, because he's acting on every animalistic impulse in his body. There isn't a single logical thought going through his head right now, because what he wants is you. It is pure testosterone going on, pure lust running through his veins. Look, there is something ridiculously hot and passionate about this, and that's his unbridled enthusiasm. So when you reverse this situation and you become the aggressor, the one who acts out of pure lust, and you attack your man with animalistic enthusiasm while you're blowing him, while you're blowing his trumpet, you're blowing his joystick, you're going to make an impression that surpasses anything he could ever imagine. Even if you aren't using new techniques or position in the bedroom, it can make a dull sex life turn into a highly charged one. I promise you, be enthusiastic. Number 3, talk dirty. We already know how to do this thing now. We already know how to talk dirty to our man. We've talked about it in this community, so no need to repeat it right away. But anyways, just tell him what you're going to do, and before you even meet your man, you could start building anticipation with him by getting his mind thinking of you and what you've got planned for him later on in the day. So if you're on the phone with him, you could let him know that you have something up your sleeve, you have something planned for him later on in the night. But don't let the cat out of the bag already, all right? Try to be a little vague about it, about what you're planning to do, so that you can keep him thinking about you and trying to figure out, what's this girl up to? What does she mean that she's got something planned up for me? So now that you're used to talking dirty to amp up the anticipation, and you have your man salivating and eager to fill your lips on him, I think that it's just that time for you to use that dirty talk to enhance your blowing job. And the best way to do this is to tell him how much you enjoy doing it, how much you enjoy blowing his trumpet, how much, his trumpet is turning you on. And that's it. Okay? And then the 4th technique is having your head in his hands. Believe me when I say that this is such a powerful way to intensify the brain blowing experience, and it's just basically by allowing your man take control and dictating things as it goes. So you could do this by getting your man to hold your head while you keep your arms by your side, or even tied behind your back, or maybe you could just hold his thighs or his legs. Now that your man is in control, he can dictate how fast you blow his weapon and how deep you can take it. And all of this is perfect if you enjoy your man being in total control, but it's not so much fun if you have an overactive gag reflex going on around you, because you don't want to throw up midway, except it's a thing for you. All right, so your man needs to understand that you have a gag reflex issue, and he needs to understand the depth for which you can go, or for which you can tolerate. Now, number 5, you could try turning the table and take control and dominate him. That's another way to make brains spectacular. Of course, control can work in the opposite direction too, all right? So if it seems like you have to be submissive when giving brains, then I think that you could be the one to take control and dominate your man. And this goes beyond taking the initiative that I talked about earlier, because there are plenty of ways to take control and dominate your man, especially when you are giving him brains. You can make use of bondage. You could get him to sit down on his hands like so. You could get him to sit on his hands like so while you blow him off. You could tie his wrist behind his back, or even use handcuffs if you have that. You could tie him by his wrist and ankle to the bed. But then again, make sure that if you're tying his wrist or his ankles to the bed, that you do not use material that will restrict his blood flow. You don't want to kill somebody's son, okay? You could also use teasing as a way to dominate him. For example, just stop blowing him in the middle of everything. Yep, I know that's right. You can stop blowing his trumpet halfway and do something less stimulating like cuddling him. All he will be able to think about is you taking him in your mouth again. Or when he is close to coming, you could start to edge him by doing something like gently kissing his trumpet or his balloons instead of blowing him to the, blowing him off the cliff. Now, making a man beg is another form of dominance. It all depends on what you and your man's preference is. So don't feel that you must use all of these examples or these ideas that I'm giving to you. So if you enjoy wielding power over your man and he enjoys it too, then most likely you will have a lot of fun doing all of these things that I have told you. But then again, I have got a bunch of different ways to make him beg you for a blow, all right? That's if you're into these ideas. Number one, you could ask him to say please if he wants a blow. All right. Number two, the next time you're on your knees, before you start blowing him off, you could ask him to beg. Just, his trumpet is in front of you, but you're not blowing. Just ask him to beg. All right. And if he doesn't beg, you don't do it. Now, while you're blowing his trumpet, you could stop and tell him that you won't continue until he says, please don't stop. All right. I am begging you to continue. Of course, these are like examples, but you can feel free to make him beg in any way that you want. Now, another way that you could show dominance while blowing his trumpet is by making him make a promise. I mean, making your man promise you something during a blowjob is a really fun way to feel the power you have over him. Yeah, it's also quite similar to making him beg you. Do you get? So when you can tell that he's close to reaching the edge of his climax, you could slow it down so he doesn't come. Then you can make him promise you something like, I am not going to let you come until you promise to go down on me every night this week, or something like that, But one crucial thing to keep in mind is when making your man promise you something when you go down on him is that the promise must be something small and fun. So if you try to manipulate him or make him promise something huge, things will start to get really weird and it will kill the vibes, all right? It will just kill the vibes that you're trying to create. So keep a promise simple, keep it really fun and small, all right? Lastly, we're going to talk about deep throating, right? I wanted to make it the topic, but I'm just going to put it here. Now, deep throating, if you don't have a super sensitive gag reflex and you're with a man that you trust, then you should try it at least once, right? Because deep throating provides your man with another set of sensation when you blow him, and that will make him see you as a sex goddess. Now, the trick here is to get really sloppy. So see, when you take your man deep into your mouth and throat, you will naturally stimulate your gag reflex. It's natural. And of course, this can make you gag, but it will also make your mouth produce a lot of saliva. So this excess saliva can make your head game feel quite messy because it will run out of your mouth and everywhere. But many guys find this messy and sloppiness to be very, very super hot and arousing, because this excess saliva also acts as a lubricant while you're blowing his trumpet, and that will make blowing his trumpet feel really smooth. And you know, the excess saliva can also act as a lubricant, thereby making your trumpet blowing act feel far more intense than usual. All right, that's why I keep saying that the nastier the better. You can even take some of this saliva on your hand and use it to massage his eggs below. Massage the moles. Now, I need to tell you that some guys like gagging, but many women are afraid to deep throat their men because they don't want to gag. And we as women, we think that it may be unattractive or unsexy for a man to see us gagging. But the funny thing is that a lot of guys adore hearing their partners gag. You know that sound where they love it. It turns them on, not off. Trust me. So experiment and see if your guy enjoys hearing you gag, or just ask him if he loves hearing his woman gag. Of course, if you don't enjoy gagging, feel free to ignore that idea. It's not a must that you must do it, okay? And then let's talk about prostate pleasure. I have already covered this topic about stimulating your man's prostate before on this channel, but then again, it's different when you're blowing his trumpet and you're stimulating his prostate. All I would say is that some men go crazy for prostate stimulation, and doing this while blowing him is something that most men will sadly never experience, because most women don't know how to get to a man's prostate, you know. And if I told you how to get through to his prostate, you would think it's yucky, because you have to get to his prostate maybe through his perineum between the balls and the balls and his number 2. All right, that's how you get to his prostate. Or you just put your finger into his number 2 and then search for, just like the way a man looks for a woman's G-spot. That's how you look for a man's prostate. All right, the upper part, you'll feel a spongy or a walnut size what's it called, a walnut size kind of texture. That's his prostate. You fondle it while blowing him. You just give him the most intense orgasm of his life, honestly, and automatically that puts you in the most powerful position ever. Okay, so that's it for now, but I will be coming next with how you can finish things up while blowing his trumpet. The game in this thing is in finishing him and snatching his life, his soul, through his trumpet. That's what's coming up next. Don't you forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share with your friends and families. We'll be right back in your speakers. Bye.